Hello and welcome to the Elevate podcast. I'm your host, Patricia Nowakowski. I am a salon owner, educator, mindset, and leadership coach that helps salon owners go from overwhelmed and burnt out to motivated and empowered. It is my mission to help you systemize your business, generate more profit, and create a career that you are absolutely in love with. Join us every week to learn about the small shifts you can make to elevate your business regarding mindset, marketing, social media, business systems, and so much more. Hello, and welcome to this week's episode of the Elevate podcast. On today's podcast, I'm going to talk about a method that I implemented inside of my salon that has actually negatively affected not only my business growth, but my team growth, and that is stylist freedom. Wondering what it's like to work with me? Want to know what I've tried and tested in my salon and how you can create more freedom as a salon owner? I'm excited to offer an exciting way to get my coaching lessons to you in our podcast subscription. The Elevate Insider is an inside look into my coaching calls and includes exclusive content from me. These episodes contain coaching lessons and the exact steps you need to take to grow your salon. Plus, you'll receive special PDFs and supporting documents so that you can easily take action. To learn more and to become an insider, visit opulentbeautypro.com/insider or find an episode of the Elevate Insider on Apple Podcasts. I always love when I do things in my business, and when I try new things, the outcome, if it's negative or positive, always is something positive, because if it's something that didn't really work out for me, it was a learning lesson, and it opens up my eyes to areas that need to be refined and areas that don't work, and it allows me to truly create an amazing, sound, successful business. So when we talk about stylist freedom, I want to talk about a couple things today. I want to talk about why I decided to implement this. I want to talk about how it negatively affected my business, and not only my business, it gravely affected my team's business. And if you are not subscribed to the Elevate Insider yet, then on the Elevate Insider episode, I am going to go into very, very detailed description on what I did to work my way out of this mess that I created inside of my salon, without losing any team members, I will add. So I first want to talk about why I decided to implement this method inside of my business. And I think I definitely wanted to create an environment that was better than the environment that I had when I was in my commission salon. I also got this advice from a coaching company that I used to work for, and they led me to believe that the things that they were implementing were bringing great success for so many owners. And in reality, come to find out that it really was not. So I, put my trust in people. I wanted to be more progressive with my salon, and I wanted to kind of change the industry and the standard of the industry to create a better environment, a non-toxic environment for my team. But in reality, there's a reason why people need structure, and they need guidance, and they need accountability to create success for themselves. I personally, when I worked at my commission salon, sat in a salon for 40 hours a week, making $0 sometimes. So for me, I was like, God, I would never do that to anybody. I don't want to do that to anybody. And in my mind, I was also thinking, because if you're going to have someone sit in your salon, you need to pay them at least minimum wage. Unless you're in the state of California, it's double minimum wage, I believe. But you need to pay them at least minimum wage. And for me, I was thinking, well, I don't want to spend that much money on payroll. So I think freedom of schedule sounds amazing, not only for my team, they'll be happier. They will, not have to sit at the salon, not get discouraged if we don't get any walk-ins, which I want to add, walk-ins now in this day and age are barely 10% of the salon clientele. I did the statistics through ChatGPT. Only 10% of clients are actually walk-in business. That is such a small amount of business to actually have somebody sitting in your salon. Now, I will say we do get last minute add-ons. I think a walk-on and same-day appointment are much different, and I'm going to go over how we handle those inside of our salon in the Elevate Insider, because I think that is crucial for stylist growth and success. But only 10% of business is walk-in. So let's go into why this did not work for my business. Well, let's start off with the age that most stylists are starting out in their careers. And most of the time it's very young. It is 18, 19, 20, 21. I want you to think of the self-discipline you had at that age, especially the age where you finally just got freedom after spending all of those years in school, right? A lot of them don't have the discipline, they don't have the desire, and they don't have the self-accountability to truly show up for themselves. They need a leader to guide them and to direct them in the area and in a way to create success. And do you know how success happens? It happens by compounding all of the difficult, annoying little things that we don't want to do. That goes for our career. That goes for going to the gym and building our body. That goes for losing weight by eating healthy. It's really being able to do the tiny, small things on a regular basis that's going to add up to the big end result, okay? When we talk about this, a lot of newer stylists also don't have the drive. And a lot of new stylists have a lot of fear of taking new clients, which in a subconscious way keeps them from wanting to actually come into the salon, because taking a new client can be really scary, especially on a service or for a service that you don't feel proficient in. Fear holds us back so much. And sometimes when we have fear around doing services and building our career, we need that leadership to kind of give us a little push in order to take the risk. And when we allow our stylists to sit at home and not have to be in the salon, then taking those risks are so much harder, because the comfort that we have in our own home is much greater than actually having to show up and do the hard thing. So I want to talk about how this slowed my stylist growth. When we give freedom of schedule, most of the time people don't want to work the shifts that are undesirable. Those are prime time days like Saturdays or the weekend or the evenings. And to be honest, those are the days that you have to work in order to build your book quickly, so you can be available for the convenient times that 75% of the clientele need. I also saw that my stylists were canceling the days that they only had one guest, and that one leads to a horrible client experience. People get babysitters, people take off of work, people adjust their time to make appointments. And when a stylist cancels on them, sometimes we lose that client altogether and they don't end up rebooking because that was an inconvenience for them. I also found them not showing up for the days that they needed to show up for. I don't force my team to sit in the salon if they do not have clients. But if you are scheduled for that day and it is your working shift, you better be ready to come to work if a client books online. We have it set in my salon that you have 90 minutes to get to the salon. So when I had my stylist just blocking out their day, they weren't allowing clients to book online, and they weren't allowing their schedule for last minute bookings, which I hate to say this, rebooking is not dead for stylists with demand. But rebooking is not something that clients want to do with a new stylist or a stylist that has a lot of availability. So when you're blocking out your week on Monday because you don't have people, when people look online and let's say they've only seen you one time, that client doesn't have a connection to you. So what is that client going to do? They're going to find a salon and a stylist who can accommodate them on the day and time that they need. They're not going to wait for the stylist because at that point, it's about convenience and availability. It's not about the stylist yet, right? We have to build those trusted relationships. And a client isn't your client unless they've seen you, I would say at least 4, 5, or 6 times. That's when you can say, this person is my client. It greatly impacted my client experience. Again, when my stylists were canceling and when clients can't get in when it's convenient for them, that impacts the client. That impacts the way the client sees your brand. That impacts retaining the client. It impacts the client experience so much. People were also moving appointments. They had a gap in their day, moving appointments up, and then canceling the appointment if they couldn't move up. These were all things that were happening in my salon that impacted the client experience. Yes, we can call a client and see if they would like to come early. Absolutely. But it has to be in the convenience of the client, not for the convenience of the stylist, unfortunately. Not when you're just starting to build. It also left my salon empty on weekends, on Saturdays, Friday evenings. Do you know how much revenue and how much it impacts your salon when you have days with no clients? It is huge. And I told myself, it's fine. I can financially prepare on other days. We can be busy on other days. But the average day in my salon is thousands. So if we're talking about, let's just say for easy math, let's just say on the low side, let's say your salon brings in $2,000 a day on average. And let's just say none of your team wants to work Saturdays. That's $104,000 in revenue and possible revenue loss as an owner. And I can honestly tell you, owners are struggling. Salons are struggling. Salons are closing because they do not want to do this anymore. It is hard out there right now. It is not the time and the era to make the stylist the focus. Clients have shifted away from that. Clients are back to wanting to be the prize. The stylist is no longer the prize. There is so much competition out there. There are such high expectations. And if a client is only available on Saturdays because they work all week long, they're going to choose a salon that's open and can accommodate them on a Saturday. I don't think people realize how small things really add up to the success of your business. Now, I'm not saying you have to work Saturdays for the rest of your career. I'm not saying that you have to work every Saturday. But if you are a new stylist, working 2 Saturdays a month is probably a good idea for you. And as a salon owner, it's probably a good idea for you to really make that a requirement so the stylist can build fast. And once the stylist has built up that rapport, built up that trust, and built up their clientele, they can pretty much work any day that they want, because then clients will not want to quit them and they will work around the stylist schedule. But you truly have to really work some of those shifts that aren't ideal for you until you actually get things going for your business. I also want to say it was hard for me to strategically hit my goals when I didn't have slight control over who was working in my business. I didn't have the ability to strategically place people on the busier days and busier times. And it's hard to strategically hit your goals when your team has all blocked off their schedule and you don't have a place to put clients that are calling and that want to get in the door. So I think that stylist freedom sounds really good in theory because we've all been there. We've all been that stylist who's been forced to sit in the back room unpaid, who've not been able to take time off to see our family, to spend time with our kids. I'm not saying that's what you should do. That is not what I'm saying. And if you subscribe to the Elevate Insider, I will share what I'm doing with my salon and how I still have stylist freedom, but in a way that works for both of us. But I will also say one last thing. I lost a lot of stylists when I was implementing these methods that were recommended to me. I lost so many because people want to build and they don't know how. They need you as the leader to show them how to grow a successful business, how to be a successful stylist that has a career income, not a starving artist. Starving artists have freedom. Successful career-driven stylists who generate income for themselves and revenue for your salon have discipline, goals, and have self-accountability. So I hope today's episode was very resourceful for you. If you loved today's episode, please be sure to share and subscribe and also leave us a review. If you want to get the accompanied PDFs that go along with today's episode, that is a part of our subscription. You can join the Elevate Insider by clicking the link below or just subscribing through Apple Podcast. Thanks for tuning in to the Elevate podcast. If you loved this episode, it would mean the world to me if you would leave a review on Apple Podcast or wherever you listen. The Elevate podcast is hosted by me, Patricia Nowakowski, and is produced by Opulent Beauty Pro. To receive my free business guides, visit opulentbeautypro.com/free or click the link in the show notes. You can find me on Instagram at Opulent Beauty Pro or at Patricia_Nowakowski_OBS. If you love this show, please consider subscribing and we will see you next week.